Hi, I'm putting power windows in this 1970 GTO, and this GTO is the same as a GM, which is the same as a Chevelle Buick from 68 to 72. So, being that I'm putting power windows in, there's a couple of things that I wasn't aware of, and I'm going to talk about so it'll make it easier for you at home to put power windows in. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to get this door grommet, and you can get that online on eBay. You'll have to cut your doors. So if you see here, that's been cut. And I actually found these cutters, these carbide tip cutters on HomeDepot.com. And they're pretty good cutters compared to these. As you can see here, they did not work. So the carbide cutters are the way to go. And there's a difference. This hole here is 2 3/8, which is this carbide cutter. And the hole on this side is a 2-inch. So once you know where to cut the hole, it will be pretty easy. So let's talk about that. Let's go on this side, and I'll show you where the hole needs to be cut. So this is a door here. You have 3 dimples, 1, 2, and 3. This middle dimple is where you're going to cut the hole. You're going to put the drill bit right there, and it's going to cut here. These 2 holes here hold the grommet in with screws. Same thing on this side. There's going to be 3 indentions on the A pillar, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to drill in the center. On this side, you're going to drill with a 2 3/8. And on this side, you're going to drill with a 2-inch. Okay. Now that we know what size bits, carbide bits to drill with, we're going to talk about the power windows. So when I started this project, I was a little confused on how these motors work. So if we look at this motor here, it gets a little confusing because sometimes you would think these are reversible. They are not. This is like a up and this is down, or vice versa. Anyways, that doesn't matter right now. But if I put power to this motor will go one direction, and if I put power to this one, the motor will go the other direction. It is not a reverse type motor. So that means I have to ground this unit. So I have to find a good ground. I ground it, and then if I put power to here, power is going to go either up, and if I put power to here, it's going to go down. So it doesn't work like a reverse motor does. You have to ground this. So if we look at all these switches here that I just installed, we can see, it's brand new, but it kind of still doesn't explain how the power gets distributed. So I have the old one here. That's an old one out of another 70 GTO. And this back goes here. And basically, if you look at this, you have power that comes in through this one right here. That center one right there is your power. So that gets power from the battery, 12 volt. And then all these other leads are for each window. So this one and this one would be for one window. This one and this one for another window. This one for another window. And another. So what this switch, all it does is when you press on it, if you look at it here, it just takes the power, and now all these ground copper pieces are charged with 12 volt. And when I push down on that, it just completes the circuit and puts 12 volt to this wire or this wire. Well, these are the wires. These are the wires that go to each motor. So if I push down on this one, it's going to put power to this wire. If I push down on this one, it's going to put power to this one. So with these rocker switches, it's not going to put power on both, but just one. You can't put on both. So let's say that would be up and this would be down. Power to that wire, power to this wire. So I hope that makes sense, because in the beginning I didn't know how this was wired. So that's the main driver's door. The passenger door is really the same. I'm sorry, the other three doors are the same. So you have power, you have power going to this 12 volts, and these go to each of the motors. And when you supply power to here, it's either going to direct the current to this wire or to this wire, not both. And when you direct current to that wire, it's going to turn that motor either forward or backwards. I hope that's making sense. So when I go here, if I look at this switch, if I push this switch, it's going to supply power to the driver's door, the main door. If I look at the back, see these two wires? So these two wires are going to go to the main door, the driver's door. And if I look at them here, it's the white and the black. The red one's power, it powers the entire board. So now if I push this button up, it's going to push 12 volts to one of those red wires. And if I go the opposite way, it's going to put 12 volts to the opposite wire. These wires are going to go straight into the motor. But let's also keep in mind that if this thing is not grounded, this motor or this case that's bolted to the motor, if it is not grounded, it will not work. So in the door, we also have to have a ground that goes in here and then grounds to the body. Same thing on that door. It has to go through the loom, a ground. On the back, it's not that important, because on the back, I can have the motor go straight to the panel, since the door doesn't open. It's not a door. Okay. So that kind of explains how this thing works. Here's the wiring schematic again. So this is going to plug into the back. And if you notice, this wire here, that's the power wire. That's the red wire. So when I plug it in here, I have red wire here. That's 12 volt. And then the 12 volt gets distributed through this entire copper bridge, I call it. But once the bridge makes contact, it takes the 12 volt and delivers it to that wire. Then it goes down through the wires into the motor that operates the power window. So once you understand how that works, you can have power to your windows. If you're not getting power to your windows, you want to check for a ground. Make sure that you have a good ground. So right here I have a ground wire. Once I put the window in, I'm going to ground it to the frame or the motor. And then in here, this is also a ground wire. I'm going to ground this to the body. And then also you might want to check the battery. Make sure it's grounded to the body also, and not just to the motor. Or make sure that the motor is grounded to the body. Those are some things you can check. So anyways, I'm going to continue to wire this GTO, same as the Chevelle. So right now the way I got it hooked up is this is the main driver's door, this is the passenger door, this is the rear passenger, and then this would be the rear driver's side, and this is the rear passenger side. That's the way I'm going to wire it, which that's kind of the way the wires are going right now. So I hope this video was helpful, because for me, learning this and understanding how the positive 12 volt flows was a little bit different than, say, a reversible switch that would work to reverse the current on a motor. It doesn't necessarily work like that. So I hope this video helps you, and enjoy.